Okay, we're recording, so I'm very excited. We have a very, very special, amazing woman who's our guest, and I want to thank you all for watching and being such loyal fans, actually. But this woman is Lois Whitman-Hess. She's been actively involved in public relations for many business sectors, including technology, internet-based companies, entertainment, law, publishing, fashion, beauty, and art clients. I sometimes call her the queen of consumer electronics or our fairy godmother of consumer electronics. Some of her clients, and I'll reveal something in a minute, just I'm going to put a point in that, but some of her clients were Samsung, Sony, DuPont, Panasonic, Philips, 20th Century Fox, HBO, Casio, Westinghouse, Revlon, Waterpik, Bell South, University of Tennessee College of Business, HGTV, so it goes on and on and on. But I will admit, Lois was like really my first boss in public relations. So my tablescape is a little bit of a homage to Lois and her work, because so many of, she creates brands and she promotes people. So I dug out all of my consumer electronics and companies that I helped, introduce their products also. And I'll go into detail when I do my tablescape thing. But Lois is also, and this is why it's such a compelling show, I think, for us, because not only is her business very successful, but she has so many passionate pursuits, that she's done. And I'm just fascinated by this, watching her over the years. But two things I want to show Lois. So, Bill, if you can zoom in on this, but I found a press release. And this was from HWH. It was a media alert about City Hall Councilman Miriam Freelander, Tom DeLuca, and a survival group. So we had a press conference. So I thought that was hilarious that we still had
Yes, that is funny.
And then this was an image of Muraphone. Look at the size of that phone. It was like an old princess phone that we had.
Oh my God. Who's that with you there?
I don't remember. Do you recognize her?
No, it's too small for me to see now, but
it's too small. Get this. Yeah.
I would love you to send that to me. I remember that.
When E.T. first came out and he said phone home. So a lot of the publicity was around phoning home.
Yes. Oh my God.
So we
got. You kept all that stuff. I burnt all that stuff. Okay.
No, I kept it. Bill said I had like a museum downstairs from all the public relations. But even my shirt, I got this from a woman's art gallery near us. But
I love it.
It's a newsprint, right? It's a Dior, and
that's what I love.
It's from Mean Girls, so it's from the show. So I bought that.
Wonderful.
So that's a long introduction, but I didn't finish yet. So Lois is also a blogger. She does DigiDame. This is her Instagram, so you can follow that. She's a podcaster and a board member of Fountainhead Residency, museum circle donor. You're going to tell me about that, Pam. A Broadway investor, and she, I think, still writes for Three Tomatoes. So all of this going on. So I have to ask, how did you manage all this work? And you have a beautiful daughter, Whitney, and you work with your husband, which is, a lot of people say that's a big no-no. So, thank you for being on. I cheers you. But if you can just tell us, how do you manage all that?
Well, to be honest, it really is much easier than getting dressed in the morning and going to the office, because you could manage your hours when you want to work and when you want to play. So you can balance your life that way. So if I have a big assignment, there's no question about it. I'm home all day working. But when I say big, I mean that needs a lot of hours. But if it doesn't need a lot of hours, I can go play, I can come back, do work, go play, come back. So it just works itself out. It's been a strange phenomenon in my life. I always feel like my higher power has created situations that accommodate me in my life. It's so strange. I'm not going to go through all of the episodes that's happened, but to be in my senior years and to have the internet and have this thing called remote work, working at home, it just fits my schedule, so I could do it all. If I had to go to an office all day and travel, it would be a lot different. So it's not really that big of a deal.
Now,
And
yeah,
yeah,
now it's not, but in the beginning, we didn't have internet, even though we worked in technology and probably maybe
right.
envisioned it. But I look at it also. I mean, I love it too because you can stay connected. You're like the social queen, you know,
I must
god.
stay connected all the time.
You're the
Yes.
you're the goddess of that before social media was even like a thing. So it's wonderful we can stay connected like that. But yet, when people aren't at work, I mean, you look at people that we've worked with, we've stayed together like family. The children.
Right.
If you're remote, I just feel that's kind of a loss.
Well, it is, but not for me because I'm senior. I mean, if I was, 23 years old and looked like you, Leanne, I would feel, neglected.
You're
But
too.
I'm happy to be plump and home. So that's the difference. But before we go further, I really want to say something about you. And I never probably told you this, but I want the whole world to hear it. So I'm going to take this recording and send it out to 20,000 people. So when you joined our organization, HWHPR, I was just doing straight PR. You
Right.
know, tell me what this message is. We send it out to the world. I go to people that we have, contacts with. If not, I just keep plowing along. When I say me, I mean everybody that worked for me. Keep sending it out, keep calling people, finding out where everything is hidden. But when you came on board, you always wore every day a beautiful suit or a beautiful dress with a flower on your shoulder there. And you looked, just like a spiffy PR person, the way the rest of us kind of looked dumpy. But the amazing thing is that one of your accounts was a magazine for the video industry. I
Right.
forgot the name, but it was Arthur Morowitz, not Arthur Morowitz, Artie Bach, and
Right. Right.
Bernie Herman. Oh my God, I just pulled those names out of nowhere. Okay. And they had a magazine, and you came up with something. I'm much older than you. You came up with a promotion. I don't remember what the promotion was, but I think there was three components to it, and you put it all together. And the client said, "Oh my God, this is the greatest thing on earth." And I just kept my mouth shut because I had nothing to do with it. I wasn't going to say, "Hey, it wasn't me." But you put that together, and it was the brilliance of your mind
Oh.
that puts you so far ahead of other people that worked at HWH or who I've worked with. Most people just do what the textbook tells you, and that's it. So you have that kind of a mind where you're always creating. What I do is I just have a big personality. I'm a networker. So maybe we should form a company and, own the world. I don't know. Anyway.
Well, we will do that. That's most kind of you. I did always think about the creativity and then the strategic approach. So
Right.
I did like
Well, you got a
bring
great
it
mind.
together. Yeah. Oh, you're so kind.
No,
I,
but if you ever remember that promotion, make sure you let me know. Think about it. It was amazing.
I do, and I also remember Rabbit, and one of the
Oh, God, yes.
that was like a Rabbit Systems, and that won like all kinds of crazy awards, which was like so new. But it was because public relations was perfect for me because it was doing good and getting credit for it. I love helping people, like I think you do, and I think it feeds your sense of adventure and curiosity. And they also say it's the most stressful profession because you have deadlines and you're dealing
Absolutely.
with your
Yes.
clients and with the media. So I was going to ask, how do you take care of your health and balance your wellness? Because it's like, they say scientists have the longest lifespan because their research goes on so long. But for us, it's like,
Well, in fact, I'm introducing a book right now with a client wrote it. And, it's always difficult to know, where are we going to land? The View, the Today Show, and we go after the New York Times and everything, and we don't know. So I just feel that you just have to be ambitious and keep going after it. You just can't say, I made 3 calls for the day and that's it. You've got to keep going and getting hits. And that's the way you reduce your stress, because if you just just say I'm doing one mailing, and if I get it, I get it. If I don't, I don't. Like a lot of publicists do. You're not going to be around for long.
True.
So Leanne, really, this question comes very timely. My first, not my first boss, my major boss that made me the crazy nut that I am today, Richard Extract. I have been trying now. He died a few weeks ago. I have been trying now to get his obit into the New York Times, and I've I got thanks but no thanks. Not because he wasn't great, but because they said the competition was so tough. There's a lot of good people that are dying right now,
I know.
or interesting stories that the New York Times wants to write about. I could not, I just could not rest until I got his obit into the New York Times. And uh, his wife thought my hook that I wanted to use wasn't right, or she wanted to say something else. And other people that were helping came up with ideas, but I knew what the New York Times, how they would hook onto this thing. So I just dismissed them, wrote it out the way I wanted to, kept sending it and sending it and sending it. And then there was a gentleman, I don't think he wants me to mention his name, but I know him. And he said to me, nah, it's not going to work, not going to work. He works for the Times for like 45 years. And then he sent an email the other day with a new hook that I gave. He says, this is possible. And yesterday, one of the writers of the New York Times called up and said, we're going to do the story. So maybe this is the end of my career, but that was an obit is probably going to be my greatest placement. And I can't think of a better person that I want to be connected with than this guy who did so much for me. So anyway, but I'm not going to announce it necessarily. It's going to stay in this discussion. But I'm not going to tell too many people.
He's a legend, so he deserves it. Congratulations. But it's funny you mentioned that, because when I was at Brooklyn Botanic Garden doing their communications and public relations, one of the board members' husband died, and she asked me the same thing. Can you get? And I had never done such a thing. I mean, of course, when I'm president did, but I'm like, I can't pitch like a death, But ended up, I did do that, and she was, and it worked. I mean, he was not so famous. Maybe there was less.
You see, I told you I'm not as great as you, but that's great to hear. I do want to mention for the year that Stephen Extract was a tremendous help, because he had all the information that I strategy wise, but he came through with the facts. So I can't leave him out because I adore him. Anyway,
I do too. That's great. Well, let me move on to you're a networker extraordinaire, and it's one of the things that you do, and not just with your business. But I wanted to weave in, some of the things I was talking about, and even just promoting our conversation, was that you have expanded so much of your world. So to art, so I have the women in art here, and the music and art projects, your travel. But did you always have these passion projects, or did they sort of morph as you grew older? How did you nurture that and then pursue it?
You know what? It's sad to say, but it's the truth. A lot of people in my family have, big degrees from big universities, and they're very academic and they're very smart. I had the outgoing personality, and I collected people. And I think that the EQ, the emotion intelligence, is far more important than any of their degrees. And this is going to be an announcement to them, because they're all going to watch this. Just memorizing things from a book doesn't make you a great, business person, or a person that could get things done. You just could rattle off information. I wasn't smart enough to do that, so I went the other way. So yes, from the very beginning, Leanne, even I remember when I'm 10, 11, 12, if I met somebody, I was so fascinated if they were a fireman or an accountant or a writer or a painter. Yes, I got involved in their lives. My life, I didn't want them asking me questions, because I didn't really have so much great things to say about myself. But yes, I am interested in other people. Today, I went and got my hair cut because my hair was so long this morning. And I'm talking to the owner of the salon, and he tells me he's doing a show on TV, and it's about this and that. I said, here's my card. Call me. I will help you. I can't, like, if I went for someone's funeral, I would give them a card. You know what I mean? So that's where it comes about. But you know that because that's who you are too.
Yes. You just want to help. You want to help.
Yes, there is a great satisfaction in getting involved with other people and helping them. And when Elliot and I moved from New York City, we had the same apartment for 40 years on 62nd and 2nd. We lived there. We brought up our daughter there. And then we just decided as we were older that we wanted warmer weather. So we had a second place down here in Miami, but we decided to make this place number one. And I just knew intuitively from being a high EQ person that I needed to go out to associations and book clubs and music people and stuff like that. And even, the whole world, and make friends with everybody and don't push myself, but get interested in what they were interested in and learn more about that. So Ellie and I have probably more friends in Miami than we ever had in New York. It is just, it keeps growing, 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 growing. And I had such tunnel vision living in New York City because I thought that was ground zero for the world in terms of that's, yeah. But you know what? No, not in this world of the internet. Everybody knows everything. Everybody, could dress the same way or have access to everything. And the most creative people in the world, surround me, especially in the art world. And I know nothing about art. These three paintings that I have behind me was purchased when I went to visit my daughter at Carnegie Mellon in a gallery that she took us to. I knew nothing about art. I just know when I look at something whether I like it. I get very interested in the artist and who they are, what they've done, and how ambitious they are. And Ellie and I pick art like that. We don't like say, oh, the stroke is left to the right, or this is the color blend, or this is the materials you use. It's nothing about that. It's about if the art speaks to us and we love the artist. And we know Eliot went to architectural school, so he wouldn't like me saying that. He wouldn't like me saying that we know nothing about art. I know nothing about art. So I still don't know. And you know what? I'm very happy the way it is because it became a social situation. And some of my best friends are in their 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s, 100. And it just works out because your life is so diversified, having so many friends. You don't have to have the best, you don't have to be the best of friends. Just, you can count on each other. You see each other once a month, once every other month, whatever it is, and there's gatherings and you talk for an hour or two or three. It's a wonderful life. I try to tell people they need to get out and make friends. I have a lot of single girlfriends that have never been married. They live in Manhattan. And what has happened because of the pandemic, a lot of people moved away. So they're lonely because a lot of the friends that they had are not there anymore. The world changes and you have to be ready for it.
I couldn't agree more. And I think, but I want to capture the spirit that you have. My mother has it too, is that after my father died and his, today is the anniversary of his death. So it's like a big, important day for me in so many ways. But she took a big leap in her, like she was they were 89 when he died, but she moved in with us and then got her own place and she made new friends and so on. But a lot of people I know and people that have worked for you, I know their parents, but like Dina and so on, she says like her mother just, it's not the same. So what ignites that spirit there? Because the art world gives you a sense of community. Like you said, I didn't have to know a lot, but people can be intimidated. But how do you get that community?
Well, again, let me just say, for the rest of the world that watches you and Bill in your social life, and the way you bring along your mother, and she seems Ginny, right? And she seems and she seems so active in your interests. And if there's a little interest or some interest, I don't mean to say it that way, that she has, you're active in it. It takes a certain brain to do that. And everyone doesn't have that kind of a brain. They just, I think it's their comfort zone. I have a lot of friends that say to me, they need to be in their comfort zone. Well, that's not going to work. So I just want to tell you something about the art world.
Okay.
If, maybe it's not as easy in New York, but certainly in Miami, if you go to art openings, people are standing around and they just come up to you. You know what? This happened in Manhattan too. I can't discount it now that I'm thinking.
Yeah.
Ellie and I would walk in. We'd like, maybe we knew the artist, or maybe we were friends of a friend of a friend, and we wanted to see what they did. And we never like claimed to be, aficionados. We would just stand there looking like Ma and Pa Kettle, nothing special. And people come over to you. I am promising everyone that watches this, if you go to an opening of an art gallery and you don't stand there like a stone, like, fixture, like, don't come over to me, I'm not
Yep.
talking to you. If you look and you like smile at somebody, or you go close to a painting, people come over. They're there to chat. They're
Yes.
there to chat. And because we did that in New York, we just did this in Provincetown,
I
in Massachusetts where we were. We went to, there was an art walk. We went in, people come over. I mean, everyone has a smile on their face. They're not snooty. If there's somebody snooty, then it's one person out of 100. And like, who cares about them? And they come over and they start talking and they'll say, oh, I love your glasses. Or, have you been here before? Or do you know the artist? Or where do you live? Or, what do you do, for a living or whatever? And before you know it, someone says, you know what? I love talking to you. Let's have lunch. Let's meet wine. I'm having a party Saturday night. Come over. It
one
is such a wonderful world to do that. I have met, I mean, I grew up in an area in Hollis, Queens, where the rappers come from now, but certainly wasn't then. And everybody, it was a Jewish community, and everybody's father really did the same thing. And it was kind of very bland, in my perspective anyway. I'm sure there was some wonderful occupations there, but from the 800 families I knew, everyone was pretty bland. And, and when I got out to the work world, which my first job was with Women's Wear Daily, I walked into a city room of diversification. And I swear to you, I remember, or it was yesterday, and it's 56 years ago. I walked into 7 East 12th Street, Women's Wear Daily City Room, and I said, oh my God, I just came through the birth canal. This is
I
unbelievable.
love that.
There was the beatniks. There was the people in the suits. There was the fashionistas. There was the writers. There were the nerds. I said, oh my God,
I
because
love
I was not good in school. I was a flunky. I was a complete flunky.
I have to tell you this, Lois, is that I probably never share with you, but I contributed the 3 chapters to Savoring Gotham. So this book that's here, and one of them is The Ladies Who Lunch. And so in those days, when I was in fashion too, so now I see where your fashion comes from. But that was sort of like our social media. Like you would read it and you would see what the women were wearing and where they went to
Absolutely.
lunch. And it was so engaging. And I used to just love reading that. And so when I did the book, they told me, I don't know if it's true, but they said that I was the first person they let into their archives to research like the Babe Paleys and Jackie O's and Nan Kempner and all these people, because what they wore and where they went was they were doing the philanthropy and the art of the world while the husbands, were out, doing their
Absolutely.
work. And it's
I
fascinating.
could never, you can, because you're so fashion looking and everything and beautiful. I could never compete with those women. I had to find my own group. But I love those women. I love Truman
Right.
Capote talking about all those
Yes.
women. I mean, I've read every single book of his because I feel like, oh my God, just take me along with you. This is so wonderful. But you have really done a tremendous diversification in your life, that most
Oh,
people couldn't do.
well,
And Bill as well.
yeah.
Bill certainly as well. When I see the photographs of him out and about, I just get great pleasure from it. I love
Oh,
it. That's like getting, I know that nobody believes it, but that's like getting a diamond ring, better than that, because it's just like I'm aligned with these people. How did I get so lucky?
I feel the same way. So thank you for saying that. I feel that when people connect and you have that sense of community, that's the real joy in life, this love. And so thank you for saying that. But
But
I
it's the
feel,
truth. I didn't say anything that's not true.
as time, and the decades go, but I feel like you have the opportunity to not only pursue these passions like you have, like travel and art and so on. So I'm going to ask you about that, but also to help mentor other people. I'm sure you mentor others, and just by having this conversation, I'm hoping that we can encourage others to, you'll say no, but be like you. But what advice would you give to someone starting off today to say, I'm going to have a life that's exciting, explorative, adventure, even though they may feel limited in their own talents, let's say?
Well, some people naturally know how to do it. Whether they're 15 or they're 150, they just know how to do it. It's in their DNA and they do it.
That's the
However,
old souls. That's the old souls. Yeah.
yeah, the old souls. I mean, really, probably I'm an old soul. So, but I never think of myself like that, but that's definitely a characteristic. But the point is that today I had a big debate. I got into a lot of trouble online many times. But one of the big ones was that uh, that young people today, and Terry Shea, Terry Shea,
Oh, yes.
he's very. I'm going to say his name. He got really pissed at me for my comments, but. A lot of young people today are very concerned about their work-play balance, and they're not going to take a job that's going to consume them. So, but he said he's got 4 boys, I believe he wrote to me, and he said online, he kind of like refuted what I said in a very hard, hammering way. He said, my boys, are very ambitious and they're very productive and they're great, and I'm very proud of them. So I don't know what you're talking about. However, the people that I come across, a lot of the young people, expect things to come to them. It will never happen. It just will never happen. Maybe you'll get lucky once where somebody sees you in a room and offers you a job. So my advice to people today is to get out there socially, online and in real life, IRL, in real life,
Yes.
and just keep showing up for things and ingratiating yourself. Tell people. I mean, if somebody interviewed me today for a job, I would be totally engrossed in their life, in their work. Tell me what it's all about. Let me see where I fit in. How can I help? I really only want to be useful if I take this job. Not like this is because I'm interviewing people all the time for assignments. This is what I get mostly today. How many hours is this going to take me? How much you paying me? I need Friday off. Um, you know, I mean, just all kinds of questions
I
where
know.
they're interviewing me. I'm
I
not
know.
interviewing them. So, I mean,
Bill had a new recruit when he was in financial services at his last company, and they said, come down. He wants to see what the gym looks like first. I was like, okay, well,
so,
we have.
you know what? For gorgeous, wonderful, smart people that have a pedigree, maybe that works. But for the average person, that doesn't work. And one of the reasons why I am still friendly with the children of some of my former bosses who are no longer with us is because I was so in love with them and the life that they led and how I was involved. I could not put an English sentence together when I went to work for Women's Wear Daily. And 2 wonderful men, Aaron Neriton and Manny Greenberg, both came and embraced me because, again, the big personality, and helped me rewrite my stories, help me, figure out the lead, figure out questions to ask. And if you do it often enough, a job, you get it. You watch other people and you get it. So that's my advice. People, you can get any job that you want. Um, One other thing, Leanne, and I think you know this. Uh, there was a guy at Samsung. We represented Samsung for 17 years, and his name is Peter Weedfall, and he's a character. And either you love him or you're afraid of him, one or the other. And he always said, if you get a no from someone, it's because you did not give them enough information or the appropriate information. And even trying to get this obit into the New York Times, I started to hear what Peter said, and I said, I've got to come up with something else. This is crazy. They've got to run. This guy was a master in so many fields. They've got to run his obit. And I just kept in the middle of the night writing, little 2-line emails to the obit section.
Yep.
And sure enough, Peter Wheatfall was right. They said, okay, that's it. I said, oh my God. And you know what, Leanne, you know this.
Yeah, I do. You have to.
When you score, when
You
you
do.
score, it's like, an athlete
But
getting
you
a
have to
home
give them
run.
a reason to say yes. But I
Yes.
that also takes compassion. And I think it takes, you have to read the people, like you're networking, you know. And I truly love the people that I've worked with and the professional organizations, you know, that I've been involved with. But people have to have a passion. So I think sometimes when people expect it to come to them, but you still, you know, Alex Stanton said to me not too long ago, you know, he said, I love this Leannism, you know, like, you know, some people, not just young people, but people complain about having, you know, to do all this stuff. But he says, like Leanne always says, that's why they call it work. I mean, you have to work at it. It's like, you know,
Right.
but the work to
Look
me,
at the time you putting together that gorgeous table. Most
oh,
people would say, I'm going to put a book and a flower.
yeah,
Goodbye. That would be me. But
yeah,
I mean, what you've got there is an art piece.
it
That is what
is, it
art
is,
is all about. It's poetry,
yeah.
it's art, it's structure, it's
It's
life form.
telling a story. And I want to
Yes.
pay homage to us and especially to you. But, you know,
Uh,
that's what it was all about. And so I think when you do have that kind of commitment to it, like sometimes people even say when I'm preparing cocktails or dinner or whatever, you know, like, oh, don't do anything fancy, nothing fancy. But I'm like, of
right.
course it's going to be fancy. I love you. I'm going to do, that's what elevates our world, I think, is to, that's the art.
Absolutely.
You know, the book is the art of the garnish for a reason, because yeah, you could just like open a can and there's all good things in that. But on the other hand, you know, it's the process of the mixing, the fresh, you know, so all of that goes into it. Speaking of
Leanne,
which,
when you had your, I don't know what you call it, the book, not the book reading, but the book opening, that was at Rizzoli, right?
that was like an author's dream come true, and you and
Oh
Eliot
my God.
were there.
And then, I mean, when we heard about it, I don't understand how other people figure in their life. When Ellie and I heard about it, it was like being, and invited to a great opera. We showed up because, like, how are we going to miss watching and witnessing that? It wasn't like you versus me, or Donna Aussie was there versus me. It
Yeah,
didn't matter. It was like, oh my God, growing up, how many people did I know in my life that was an author of a book? Zero. Zero. And here
oh,
I knew intimately a gal that had like the most phenomenal book,
I
unlike most other books that are out there. I'm not, everything's off the slate. I'm going to Leanne's opening. I mean, it was in one of the most famous bookstores in the
I
world.
know. I was so excited, and the fact that you showed up, it was like that is like the like a cathedral for an author. And it was unfortunate that it was a UN General Assembly like the same night, and trying to get there and having the.
Oh, I always have that. Yeah.
I
I
know, and
always say, but it was no, it was a lot of people there, a lot of great people. We met a lot of great people that night, and it was like being involved, invited to a Broadway show. I mean, it's
I
like
know.
no, seriously. So you and Bill have that. So it's hard to speak
Yeah,
to someone that doesn't. It's very frustrating. They just don't get it. It's like a game that they just can't understand.
understand. I do. And when I write this up on the Facebook page, and I'm going to put in the chef that was there that night and his new
Yes.
downtown that you, well, when you come back to New York for a visit, that you can see. It's really phenomenal. We went there, and he has one in Miami. Oh my God, I have to let you know about that. All right, so I have that on my agenda. But speaking of cocktails, going back, do you have a favorite or two, or do you, or Elliot, or
Cocktails.
yeah, what's your favorite?
Elliot's favorite cocktail. He drinks a lot more than I do. He drinks a lot more than a lot of people. um, is bourbon. Bourbon. Everything is bourbon, old fashioned, bourbon this, bourbon that. He loves his bourbon.
Okay,
Um, I'm just like a Pinot Grigio, or maybe once in a while a Cosmopolitan, and only because I love it, but it doesn't love me. So I really stick. I decided in my old age, because I try so many different foods, that I better stick to Pinot Grigio, because it seems to go with everything.
okay,
And everything else is like giving me a bad night. So,
all right. I'm gonna make you a cocktail too with Pinot Grigio in it. But
okay.
you know. But that's one of the things I do. And so for the viewers, if you remember, I've only done two.
Oh,
So
that's wonderful.
I do paint a cocktail of the ladies who lunch, like their favorite cocktail, and then I sell them online, and the monies go to their favorite charity. You know, so
We
whatever.
will definitely partake.
Yeah, so we'll do that later. I cannot believe like the time is up. So that's crazy because, you know, Lois, you're just the type of person that everyone feels so comfortable with. And that
Not everyone, Leanne, not everyone.
I know what you're saying, but
Yeah.
it is in the long run, everyone. Like, we've known each other a long time, and you are so loving and giving and have such a great personality. Like, a lot of people can't say they're still friends with their former first boss. So I
Yeah.
feel very privileged and
I
honored.
feel privileged because there's a lot of people that work for us, like, maybe, 2, 3 thousand, I don't know. Um, and a lot of them don't stay in touch. A lot do, but some don't. And it's like, it's just indicative of their personality. I don't take offense in it. It's
Okay,
okay.
good.
But thank God you do, because you're definitely one of the major stars. And I think everyone that worked with you, and certainly your fan club in the electronics industry, they would all totally agree with me.
I love you so much. Thank you. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. And I hope when we come to New York, you'll be able to come into Manhattan and we'll get together.
Yes, we will. More to say. I could talk to you for another 3 hours.
Yeah, okay.
Thank you. You're such a special,
Thank you.
inspiring woman. Bye bye.